Okay, so one thing I noticed about myself is I need 8 hours of sleep to function. Like, that's something I've learned over the past few years of entrepreneurship. If I get about 5 hours of sleep, I could probably deal with it for a day or two, like just living off of 5 hours sleep a night. But then I crash. I get extremely groggy, kind of grouchy, frustrated. I start craving really bad foods, and it's just not good for me. So I always need to make sure that I prioritize 8 hours of sleep, right? Well, the other night, I, for some reason, just kind of had like insomnia. Like, I just couldn't go to bed. I was laying in bed, tossing and turning, turned on some YouTube, still couldn't get to sleep. By the time I think I did fall asleep, it was probably like 11 o'clock at night, and I had to be up at 3 a.m. because I work out at 4 a.m., right? So by the time I got up, I was tired, right? I didn't really want to get out of bed, but I knew my trainer was waiting on me. If I didn't have a personal trainer, I probably would have just said F the gym that day, right? But I had to get there. So worked out. That was great. And I was like, okay, maybe I can, survive the day off with this little bit of sleep that I got. Got in the shower, put myself together, ready to make content, and then got extremely tired to the point where I didn't feel inspired to create. I didn't know what to talk about. And yeah, it was not a good day. I ended up going to bed really early and I didn't get much done. This is why I'm telling you this. A lot of times we think that if we just kind of hustle through it, if we just work, 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 limit sleep, that we're actually getting more done. But in reality, you're not. I've learned that just because you're awake for X amount of hours does not mean you're being productive. It doesn't mean that you're getting as much done as you think you are. If anything, you're probably getting less work done because you're moving slower because you're tired, right? And I've seen the argument in comments where people will say, well, isn't that what an alarm is for? I actually think it's better to have an alarm and set a bedtime than to have an alarm to get up. Because if you set a bedtime, if you don't have any deficiencies or if you're not sick or anything like that, you should be able to get up at the regular time, right? Your body kind of has you on an internal clock. I've noticed like when I do sleep in, I'm still kind of up around 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I've never slept till 7 or 8 a.m. for years, right? And that's because I'm always up early. Like I am a morning person. I'm typically up by 3 a.m. So, I don't really rely heavily on an alarm. Sometimes I do, most of the time I don't because my body just knows, hey, it's time to get up. But when you don't set a bedtime and you just kind of go to bed whenever, well, that's when you struggle the most with getting up in the morning, at least for myself, right? And needless to say, I went to sleep, I slept, and I feel great this morning. I think I probably got about 9 or 10 hours of sleep because I was also making up for the day before where I didn't get any rest. So I want to encourage you, if you're struggling with being creative, thinking about what things to talk about in your content, or, just working on whatever goal you have for yourself, audit your bedtime. Are you getting 8 hours of sleep? A lot of times you're probably not. Or what you may be doing is you're kind of getting some sleep, but then you get up and you get on your phone for a little while, you scroll and you try to go back to sleep. That's not getting 8 hours of sleep. I learned, I would say probably year two of entrepreneurship, I've been doing this for 6 years now, that your phone really hinders you from getting the sleep that you need if you're utilizing screen time. So that's why I'm big on putting the phone down probably an hour or two before it's even time to go to bed. Because if you do what I used to do, which is scroll while you're laying in bed and then try to go to bed, it's so much harder to go to sleep. You may not even feel tired anymore just because you had that light in your eyes, and so your body just doesn't feel like it's time to go to bed. But when you put the phone down and you don't scroll for a couple hours before bed, it's easier to get to sleep, right? So try that. Something else that I notice when it comes to sleeping and being able to sleep is the more active I've become over the years, the easier it is for me to go to bed when it's time to go to bed. I used to struggle with insomnia a lot. And that's why I was actually a little surprised that I struggled with going to bed last or the night before last, because now when I lay down, I'm typically asleep within a couple, maybe 30 minutes to an hour. I don't struggle with going to bed. And I really contribute that to one, being extremely active, and then two, eating better. When you eat a lot of sugary foods, or drink a lot of sugary stuff like sodas or juices. Because it's full of sugar, it kind of keeps you energized and it makes it even harder to go to bed. But when you prioritize your fruits and vegetables, when you prioritize walking or lifting or doing whatever kind of exercise activity you prefer, your body just naturally starts to get into a rhythm, and going to sleep is a lot easier, at least for myself, right? And I used to be 340 pounds. If you didn't know, I lost 100 pounds. So those are things that have helped me with sleep. But I do just want to say, a lot of times we say we want to have a soft life. It's the goal, especially as women, right? We don't want to stress about life or, you know, um, work extremely hard, physically hard. But how can you have a soft life if you don't prioritize sleep? Sleep is a part of softness, it's part of being still and calm. Your body needs sleep just like it needs food, just like it needs water. And I know that I didn't used to prioritize those things, which is why it was so hard for me to make it through the day because I was running off of 6 hours of sleep, or shoot, sometimes even 5 or 4. Now, most nights, I'm getting about 8 to 9 hours of sleep. And when I wake up, I feel good. I'm not crashing midday. I feel like I'm my best self. I'm very productive. I get a lot done. But when I don't get that sleep, the next day, I may feel like, I'm pushing and doing what it takes to run this business, but the next day I definitely make up for it. So just some food for thought. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Do you set a bedtime, or are you solely focused on setting a time to wake up? I would love to read what you have to say. Also, you guys make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join the Patreon. The link is down below in my description, and I will be seeing you guys in my next video. Bye.